In the early 19th century, the fur trade of the central and western United States wasn't just a rugged frontier economy. It was highly organized and ruthlessly consolidated by a massive corporate machine. At the center of that machine was John Jacob Astor. He didn't just build a traditional business, he exploited the industry's credit system to deepen dependence within his trading network. Known as America's first multimillionaire, history remembers him as a pioneering fur trader. But the ledgers reveal a brutal strategic reality. Astor's corporate architecture for market capture heavily echoes the tactics of modern tech empires. Today, we decode the architecture of his dominance. Astor's American Fur Company didn't rely solely on free market competition. It wielded logistics, unmatched scale, and strategic financial leverage. A basic economic reality governed the frontier. Competition between companies gave independent traders and native hunters room to seek better terms. Astor's network utilized credit to structurally narrow those options. The company relied on a cycle of advances. Astor's network supplied independent traders and hunters with traps, rifles, and winter provisions on credit. When the brutal winter ended, those debts were frequently settled in pelts. While Astor directly employed hundreds of clerks, boatmen, and logistical workers to move goods through his system, his broader supply network depended heavily on this economic entanglement. For many, the debt cycle tied their output directly to Astor's ledgers. It was an early analog to a walled garden. Once inside, the credit system severely limited a trader's room to bargain elsewhere. But controlling the supply chain wasn't enough. Astor sought to systematically reduce or absorb his corporate rivals. Fighting the massive British and Canadian fur companies in the wilderness was expensive and inefficient. So Astor turned to a different kind of leverage: the United States government. He deployed his political influence in Washington. In 1816, Congress passed a law restricting licenses for the Indian trade in U.S. territory, primarily to American citizens. With that legislation, Astor's biggest foreign competitors were significantly weakened within American borders. He didn't just outcompete them in the wilderness, he lobbied to change the rules of the game. It was a masterclass in treating state legislation as an offensive weapon. By the 1830s, Astor held a dominant cash-generating position across much of the American fur trade. But a critical shift was occurring in the market. Silk hats were replacing beaver pelts in European fashion, and animal populations were declining from overhunting. Many titans would hold on, riding their legendary empire into the ground. Astor made a different move. In 1834, while the American Fur Company was still a giant, he sold his interest in the fur operations. He took his liquid capital and pivoted to a completely different battlefield: the mud and rock of Manhattan Island. During the Depression following the Panic of 1837, Astor capitalized on the economic downturn to aggressively expand his portfolio of New York real estate. His moves suggest he understood a crucial economic distinction. Fur was a replaceable commodity, but land in a rapidly expanding metropolis was a structural choke point. Astor bet heavily on the city's northward expansion. He transformed temporary trading wealth into a permanent, multi-generational dynasty based on controlling prime real estate. Astor demonstrated how unmatched scale, the weaponization of the law, and the ownership of future choke points could overpower direct competition. Subscribe to The Strategy Fox as we hunt for the truth hidden in the ledgers of power. Drop a comment below. Does Astor's blueprint of narrowing a supplier's options through an economic ecosystem mirror the tactics of modern gig economy platforms and app stores? Defend your position.